Hello, beautiful friends. Today we're going to talk about the symbolism of the snake or the serpent. It's become one of my very favorite, and it's been the beginning of many, almost all good stories, as Nicolas Cage would point out. Every great story starts with a snake. But the power of the serpent breath we'll talk a little bit about, and this kind of good and evil symbolism that it has. This piece is called Cosmic Kiss, and it speaks a bit about the importance of breath and awakening the heart. And the serpent, of course, because it's undulating and it's in sync. It's on the ground. It has intuitive qualities. It can sense things in other ways just than what we typically use. And so this serpent is a very sensual. It is like breath. It is like water. It does have flow. And so the vision actually came, the snake, I've always loved snakes, but never was really drawn to them up until a couple years ago. And one of the profound experiences, which is the inspiration for this piece, which inspires me daily, to breathe and free my heart and shed the old. This happened during an intensive meditation and breathwork practice where I was just kind of playing with my energy centers and really absorbing a lot of oxygen to the point where you almost feel lightheaded, and paying attention to my internal systems and feeling my organs being nourished and letting everything else drop away. And eventually I felt these energies, and later on found out that there was something called the serpent breath even that you can do. But it felt like snakes, that it eventually turned into a clear vision of them, moving in and out, kind of like a caduceus, and then consuming each other in my head and then passing back down through my root center. And so just that ebb and flow, they became real. And every now and then when I zoomed in, as they consumed each other, they would first kind of kiss, and it would release this explosion of energy. And in the depiction, what I have is them kissing the pineal glands. So you've got with that this beautiful release of energy in your mind and in your heart. And so the wings are symbolic of this freedom, of this light feeling, of letting everything drop away. And so you're flooding your mind, you're flooding your body with these beautiful chemicals, and this depiction reminds me of that power we have, of that power that's absolutely ours with our every breath, and to utilize that. The Kundalini energy, to awaken that. So this is all about breathing and meant to inspire that, and to inspire that connection with the serpent. So the serpent or snake symbolism is probably one of the oldest symbolisms known to man. And it can symbolize death and evil, and it can symbolize rejuvenation and intuition. And it's one of those things, kind of like, for some people it's my centipede or my spider. It can definitely have an adverse effect on our system, but as a symbol, it's interesting just to dig in a little bit and figure out why we think the things we do about snake. And a lot of times it's our programming, or maybe something traumatic happened. But across class and religion and culture and time, it's definitely a something that's very striking. And because it is so flowing, it can be worked into so many different designs. One of the oldest stories, of course, is the story of Adam and Eve, where the serpent, just as a surface level, because diving into that story, is diving into the human condition and the human psyche. But the snake is the one that seduces Eve with this delicious apple and gets them kicked out of the Garden of Eden, out of paradise, into the real world. So that snake, of course, is evil. And then you have other cultures, like the Hindu culture, that they adore the cobra and the snake. It's symbolic. Obviously, it sheds its skin. So as it grows, it gets really uncomfortable, sheds its skin, and it comes out shinier, fresher version of itself. So this clearly is one of the reasons that snake is such a beautiful symbol of self-rejuvenation and renewal. And I like it because it reminds you that every day you don't have to keep what doesn't suit you. You don't have to keep the parts that you've outgrown. You can, sometimes it's painful, but you can wriggle out of them. In Egyptian history, this was a new one. I've always been, like, Isis is my goddess, right? And then I started seeing cobras a lot in different visions, and appreciating their movements, and especially with the breath, and found the legend of Isis creating the first snake, the first cobra. So Ra was this old, decrepit, nasty, god, and he just didn't give an F anymore about any of us here on Earth. And so there was strife, and there was drought, and Isis formed the first cobra to bite Ra, and in his pain she got his magic name, and with that name she restored water and nutrition and abundance to the land. And she took the poison from Ra, but she wouldn't give back the name, so that if she ever needed to do it again, she could. So I loved that creation story of the cobra, and seeing it, of course, on all the pharaohs' headpieces and crowns, and as a symbol of Egypt, and in the reliefs, the snake is extremely revered. Another place we see it and don't notice it a lot is on the side of ambulances, or at the doctor's office. It's a symbol of the caduceus, which is Hermes' staff, and it may have originated, I think, from Mercury, who is Hermes, interrupting a fight between two snakes, and they crawled up his staff. And he is one of the gods of healing and medicine and alchemy. So it kind of became a symbol of health and healing. And maybe it's also that, that breath, the masculine and feminine. And then also in a lot of cultures, the symbols are of the snake consuming itself. And I think, like in this one, you've got the two snakes consuming each other or themselves, and that's how I felt it in the breath. But that eternal life, that eternal renewal, we consume each other. We recycle each other. We are complete. So around the globe, there's places that, there's even snake worship. There are places where they'll ingest venom, which is really interesting. It can be like anything. One of my favorite quotes is by Sadguru. It's, a little venom is intoxicating. Too much of anything can kill you. So kind of knowing that how much medicine to take. But I definitely felt that, and that's what I wanted to capture as inspiration in this piece, Cosmic Kiss, is that awakening isn't necessarily always comfortable, and maybe it is a little bit of getting to know the shadow, or asking why we think something is bad or evil, and just that beautiful breath, and letting what doesn't serve us drop away, and feeling free. So that would be the wings and the pieces, this open heart, this freeness, this illumination of mind, and then the snakes, which are that beautiful undulating undercurrent that has been with us on Earth since before anything's been documented. It's been told in tales, the tales and the stories of the serpent. This is the mythology. This is the meaning behind some of these things, and the inspiration that it can give us all.